my mother passed away. And I think maybe there was some introspection that started and wala na yung wala na yung drive ko na kahit na anong mangyari, kahit na anong toxicity, I had children that I needed to support. And I guess it came to a point in my life where I felt, ito na ba yun? Am I gonna be killing myself for what? You know, I went there.
And we're on this evening on tonight's episode 92, which is passion, grit, and resilience. So this evening, so all of us here are career shifters at some point of our lives. Okay. So we will discuss this, how it came to be. And I'm going to introduce our guests also later on. But before anything else, okay, so we have a new set of co-hosts, okay, for this evening. They're back, okay, from being absent from HR Shouts. Anyway, okay, so hi, Dr. Flor, how are you? Yes, how are you? How's your week?
I'm good. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be with you.
And how about Bench? How are you?
Yeah, I'm also good, and it's been a great sem. So I wasn't around for quite some time. What with all the rigors of our second semester, in which I'm the school official, the teacher, and also the student because I've entered graduate studies
So,
again.
so that's good to hear, Bench. Okay, and also thank you for having me. Okay, last March at your school. So
Yes,
I
of
was like
course.
fortunate to meet all your classmates as well in your MBA program. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so our guest for this evening, so our topic for this evening is passion, grit, and resilience. And our subject matter expert and guest for this evening is a certified strengths strategist and then a certified facilitator and coach of 7 habits of highly effective people. And then she is also a certified racing frequencies teacher and a Heartworks healing coach. Okay, so she's a good friend of mine. We've worked before. So she's none other than Miss Leah C. Eriguel. Hi, Leah.
While enduring the pandemic, why don't you upskill in the comforts of your own home? Improve and add more certificates in your resume. Simple, direct, easy. Visit the playlist in our YouTube channel. Browse through our videos and choose the video that interests you. Send in your requests for a particular video and we will send back the certificate via email. Watch this full video for the details.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Benj. Hi,
Hi,
Dr. Floor. And hi,
hi, good evening.
everyone. Awesome to be here.
Oh, so how's your week, Leah?
This week has been super packed. The past few weeks have been super packed. I've been doing workshops, self-care workshops for public school teachers in Quezon City. I'm currently doing right to resilience workshops for teens, and I'm also doing my own online studying for a certification for writing through transitions.
Oh, so we're talking about transitions, okay? But
Yeah.
the reason I invited we have a different set of co-hosts now because our co-hosts are like you. They've also gone through career shifts, okay? So, si Benj, okay? Hi, Benj. Okay, so
Right.
I think you have some questions for Leia, and I can you tell people, okay? So you've been having this love-hate relationship with your HR career.
Okay. So much for the love-hate relationship with the HR career. So I'm happy to say I'm already at peace with that career. It's a chapter that ended in the last decade, and then I opened the new decade, returning to the academe and teaching. Well, students of human resource development courses. Okay. Yeah. I myself am a career shifter. So basically, ang buong career ko for these past 20 years, it's like minsan 80% corporate, 20% academe. Sometimes it's 80% academe and 20% corporate. And then I went from technical to administration and then back to academe. Yun. Now, so our guest, Miss Leia, is a shifter. And meron akong isang, yung pinakauna na gusto kong malaman. And I think there are a lot who would like to know also because syempre the pandemic is, if I might say, compelling a lot of career shifting. So let's begin. What made you leave corporate marketing and then pursue coaching? Dahil kasi parang 20 years, everything seems to be so good, learning a lot, seeing a lot, and then coaching. Yan.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Vanj. Okay. First of all, I was a single mom. I mean, I still am. But my kids are big now. And so while I enjoyed corporate marketing, I went from media to media agency. I went from client side to, I mean, marketing was in my blood. But um, siguro then it took a shift for me because my mother passed away, and I think maybe there was some introspection that started, and wala na yung wala na yung drive ko na kahit na anong mangyari, kahit na anong toxicity, I had children that I needed to support. And I guess it came to a point in my life where I felt, ito na ba yun? Am I gonna be killing myself for what? I went there, and I'd already been VP for marketing in um, in a company where I was very, very much supported by the owners, and I had very, very big wins. And then I moved pa to another company where they were paying so much, pero dugo ang kapalit, you know. And
Mahirap
then
yung duguang kapalit.
at saka yung medyo may kaluluwang kapalit. Mahirap yun eh. uh, and then just one day, no, not just one day. Every day I would tell my kids, I'll resign na, and then after months, I finally did. And I have to say, in all transparency and vulnerability, that period in my life really broke me. Kasi sino pala ako pag wala na akong calling card? Ano pala ako pag hindi na ako member ng company at wala ng Christmas party, like all of that. I was comfortably that for 20 years, and suddenly I was not. And then during that break, someone said, hey, why don't you go into coaching? Because there was this really, really well-known Strenghts coach from the States who, had just been here, and they were teaching a course that would not otherwise be available. So I went to it. I went to the Strengths coaching certification course. And that really opened my mind, my heart, and I realized, all the toxicities that I was blaming on other people, on situations, were all coming from me. And so, ganon, it was like a light bulb for me. I said, wow, I wanna do this for people. I want to help. Yung corporate jungle pala, pwede naman palang hindi maging corporate jungle. It's really just seeing. And yun, from there, I just kept learning, getting more certifications, helping people one-on-one, helping groups. And because I'm a writer at heart, I fell in love eventually with, narratives,
Mhm.
guiding people to change their narratives, to change their stories so that it comes from the negative to the empowered. And that's where I am now. Happily shifted.
Happily shifted. Magandang term yan.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, I could remember my own journey then na after quite some time in the HR career, and then having risen in the ranks in management, tapos from operations to administration. And okay, so the turn of the decade, sabi ko, loaded na ulo ko. And then I look for, personal story ko to, I look for a place where I can download it to people who would actually make use of the knowledge. So I'm glad to have returned to St. Paul University, Quezon City, and then back to my old department in the College of Business and Technology, where I met human resource development students who would like to know, sir, what's it like? Okay, sige. May mapag-share na ako ng adventure. And yeah, tama ka dyan. An opportunity to help people change their stories. Ako naman siguro, in a bid to identify then somewhat, maybe it's my job now to help young people begin to write their new stories. So
Yeah.
I guess we're finding those kinds of places for us na after some time. Yeah, I remember one of our guests then during our business week, and she's an alumnus, a former student of mine, and here's what she said: not all careers are linear. So medyo crooked path, because certainly not straight, crooked, curvy, alternating. And then ayun na siya, I think she stabilized in Australia, working for one of their popular supermarket chains. IT pa rin, but working in another industry in another land. So yes, I agree that not all our stories are linear. Okay, but certainly there are transitions, di ba? Now, how can you say that you successfully manage a transition from regular work? So parang ano rin yan, naranasan ko rin na sige, being in the corporate world, stable, secure, may parang linear path. And usually this linear path is paakyat, di ba? And you say you've been a vice president of marketing already. So it's like sometimes we're at a point, ano pa iaakyat natin? But here you are, you transition to freelance work. How did you do it?
Carefully. Oh,
Carefully.
no, that's not true. Actually, I did a dive heart first. I would like to say carefully, but no. The truth
We're
is,
all ears.
yeah, I went in heart first. I wanna share a story. Benj, Dr. Flor, and Chris. I remember when in one of the companies that I was in, sabi ng boss ko, stay close to me and I will train you. And one of these days, you will be in my position. CEO siya eh. You will be in my position. Nakikilala ka ng lahat ng tao. Napaisip ako that night kasi she said it with so much passion. And in my head, hindi ako na-excite. Hindi ako na-excite dun sa, oh, okay, magiging CEO ka. kilala ka ng lahat ng tao. So I started to think, why, maybe that's not, mali ba ako? Isn't that what everybody wants? Well, why wasn't that, ringing bells and whistles for me? So that thought stayed when I did the shift. And of course, Benj, diba? The shift from 15th and 30th, 13th month pay, sick leave, you take all that into consideration when you become a freelancer, when you shift into another career. But the thing that kept me at it was, what's my why? Like, for me now, I can honestly say with all my heart, kung manalo ako ng 1,000,000, dollars naman, parang laki-laki. I would,
Dollar.
dollars naman, di ba? And I never had to worry about, financial security. I would still be doing this. I would still be helping nurturers, and HR practitioners are nurturers. I would still be helping nurturers to care for themselves. I would still be helping teens to come from self-compassion. I would still be telling anyone who's willing to listen, please let go of perfection. It's a myth. Be kind to yourself. I'd still be doing that. So yeah, it's a matter of learning to let go of the external so that you can be richer internal.
Yun. Okay, so that's great. So I remember that it was asked, "What's your why?" I think it's one of the earlier podcast episodes, and it will continue to ring for many episodes to come. Na people will be looking for their why. That if time and money were the problem, um, sino ba talaga ako? And then you also brought up another let me quote you, yung sino ba ako kapag wala na yung business card. Actually ayun yung business card ko. And then napalitan naman ng ID card. So kailangan ng ID, hindi pala nakikita yung ID card. Ayun, yeah, those are good questions. So I hope our audience is listening intently. Like, who are we at the core?
Yeah.
Like, if wala yung 13-month pay, sige, let go mo yung 13-month pay, yung Christmas party ninyo where there is forced dancing ng mga newbies, ano pa, yung mga paraffle, yung gusto mo nang umuwi but you will stay dahil kasi may raffle. Ganon din kapag summer outing o saan tayo pupunta ngayon. O ngayon wala nang outing pero merong iba nag-virtual outing. And then in the midst of it all, parang you begin to sense it's like somehow these benefits eventually turn into noise. And then when the noise is gone, then you begin to listen at your core. Parang ganun po, no? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's exactly it. I mean, and you know what? Especially now in these times we're locked down, we don't really know how long this is going to be, and there's all that uncertainty. And we have a choice. We can stay stuck in, oh my God, ano nang gagawin ko? And we can stay stuck in scarcity. Or we can create a life that is heaven on earth. And that means letting go of everything that's been in our comfort zone. If your work is not making you happy because you're working from home, but because there are no boundaries, nauubos ka, what I want to throw out there is, do we really still need to belong in a company? We've all been raised to think, get a job. But now we're in a position where we can build a career.
So I'll just comment, okay? So yung nowadays kasi, during our time kasi, our batch, people were kind of focused on having a career, okay, and having a position, di ba? Parang yun yung,
Yun yung goal. Yun sabi ng mga magulang natin, mag-aaral lang mabuti, get a job. get a good job.
Linear ascent.
Um,
Oh, so I'll ask Miss Flor. Okay, so Miss Flor actually, Miss Flor is actually a veteran. Okay, and she has been in government for 35 years. She's been head of the AP, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Flor. So, how did you transition from your work as an employee or manager in a government agency and then to private life or being a consultant?
Thank you very much, Miss Chris, and thank you, everybody. Yes, I was able to transition right after my retirement because I'm already at the senior level of in terms of age. So I thought that maybe I should be able to also devote my time and energy to something that is considered to be a shift from that of regular work to that of now into something that is considered to be not necessarily regular, but something that is along my profession. So I'm also interested with Miss Leah with regards to how she was able to shift from that of different roles, starting, of course, from being VP for sales and marketing, at the same time also as a writer. And how were you able to transition or shift your paradigm into coaching? So I'm interested also in that particular aspect of Miss Leia,
I
how she
think
was able to do that.
I think Miss Flor would want to ask you, so mahirap ba? Kasi it seems like you're doing a lot of things. So how do you manage to wear this hat and another hat?
Mm. Yeah.
okay. Again, it really, for me, it's always go back to what you, kasi for a while, I fell in love with coaching. Tapos, iniwanan ko na muna yung corporate marketing. Yung talaga, the marketing side for maybe over a year. I was just, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I didn't even touch my LinkedIn for over a year because I felt this is where I'm gonna go. Para kung ayokong, ano yun, mamangka sa dalawang ilog. So I really fell in love with coaching and the knowledge of strengths. And then I remember asking a friend, do you think this is something that I can be good at? And my friend said, what are you talking about? You've always been doing this for people. The only difference is now you're charging for it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, but then eventually, I realized, na-miss ko rin yung marketing. Na-miss ko yung
Mm.
your ears to the ground, creating new ideas, working creatively with a group, telling stories. Telling stories pa din naman ang marketing eh. Diba? You work on a brand and you tell stories and you tell people, look at this. You need this. So eventually I found a happy middle ground where, but the good part is I can choose the brands that I want to work with. And I choose brands na may vision na kapareho ng akin, which
Mm.
is tutulong sa tao, tutulong sa nangangailangan. Then out of sync,
Oo.
hindi siya out of sync sa pinili kong gawin, like for me it's not just a career na, it's like it's a passion for me.
Mm.
So I understand how that is kasi like ngayon, okay, so when the pandemic hit, well, actually I had to close my business, okay, so it's actually hard for some people also to shift kasi like you were used to a 9 to 5 routine and then you suddenly parang you have all the time in the world. So I was able to now parang shift to and choose, okay, first is I'm into coaching, but I also choose kasi I've actually gone into art therapy also, which is actually I'm able to use my artistic side, so that's good. Okay, so that's why we have some freedom now. Oh, see Benj. Okay, Benj. How about you? How about your students, okay? Because you have MBA classmates, okay? What do they say about what are their yearnings ba? They still want to work pa ba? 9 to 5 job?
My classmates, well, since you've met some of them, among them, merong mga, I think that someone is living and working in Dubai,
Mhm.
and uh, and then there is meron akong kaklase, he's a registered nurse, so kaya niyang i-juggle being a family man and then an MBA student, and also being he's actively serving. I guess that's his regular job, and not your ordinary 9 to 5, pero it's regularly happening. And then yeah, I also have classmates who belong to the BPO sector. So far, I don't hear them saying, ayoko na, I would like to shift na, and maybe guys baka may alam kayo. So far wala pa naman. But I'm sure at some point in time, some of us would be entertaining. What if I try this? It's always there, eh. There is always that what if na. What if I try and then I leave this place of stability, and then think about of crafting a different kind of future wherein I get to uh, do it and then direct it according to my own terms. As for the bachelor's students, um, I'm I haven't really asked them so far as to what they're planning. So yung pinakaunang transition nila mangyayari pa lang, and that is from being student full time to finding work, practicing their professions full time.
Well,
Susulat pa lang yung storya.
what can you say about, kasi usually, I also took my MA, and this was a time when I was trying to find also what better suits me, okay? Kaya lang hindi ko siya natapos because I was busy with the network. Sayang kasi thesis na lang yon. Okay, pero nagkompre ko. But you guys, okay, so usually ba, when people, is it true or false, okay, that people in their 30s who seek an MBA degree, most likely after that will first resign from their job and then go to another career? Is there like some truth in that, Bench?
Uh, well, it certainly is real. As to how consistently true, um, wala pa naman ako na babasang research,
Oo.
much less the peer reviews about pag nag-MBA ba, is it natural? Like to a certain 90% significance na they will look for another job. I think one of the likely choices is they took up their master's degrees, their graduate degrees, because they want to rank up. So parang they want to have extra credits to boost their careers. So choice one, boost your career while in that same employer. Choice two, you look for another employer and boost your career elsewhere with them. Or choice three, open up your own shop and then you brand yourself. So I have not heard of any research that generalizes how consistent is it that the MBA will naturally open new doors for ranking up or rebranding oneself. Certainly there will be a rebranding. Ang una nilang gagawin is lalagyan ng ng title. Like say Benjamin Caruncho III MBA. Okay, so that's the first thing many would do. So like in some cases here, may dugtong na si HRP. So and that much I can say, rebranding is certain.
Oh, actually, kasi the reason I
There's
asked,
rebranding.
kasi pagka sa, like in 2 companies I served as HR head, laging yan yung sinasabi, I'm going to go back. I'll pursue my MA or MBA. So, yun. Pero sa hinahanap ko pa rin yung kanilang degree after 8 years. Okay. So anyway, Dr. Flor, I have a question for you. Okay. So this wanting to shift, kasi we were all programmed kasi, di ba? One company for a lifetime. Sabi ng mga magulang natin. But afterwards, through the years, okay, we know that there's no such thing. Okay. But this longing to shift to some new venture or some new career, meron ba yung scientific explanation?
Uh, as of to date, I don't believe that there is a scientific explanation as to the shift, or maybe, well, it matters that every individual perhaps will assess for themselves what they like to do eventually. So it's up to the individual. But for us to say that there is really a kind of a shift, I believe that there is no such thing. And perhaps each and every one of us will be able to assess what really is important to us. So, notwithstanding the age. So, I believe that it has something to do with ourselves. And I'm also interested with Miss Leah, how she was able to shift from that of the different functions that she had to that of coaching and counseling. I believe you are now a veteran of that particular functions right now. So I'm interested in knowing exactly what made you shift to that particular function nowadays.
Um, I thank you, Dr. Flor. What I would like to share is maybe yes, the shifting, but also the resigning. While I don't, just like Dr. Flor, I don't know of any scientific, reasons why people shift. Although what I do have are research why people resign. People resign from their companies because one, yung number one reason usually, yung nakakataas, yung direct, hindi nila
Mhm.
kasundo. Hindi nila kasundo yung direct nila. And two, they don't feel affirmed. They don't feel seen in the company that they're in. That much I know in terms of research. Yun yung dahilan kung bakit umaalis ang tao. Sometimes people stay if the environment feels like your friends. Parang pamilya. So, siguro toxic yung direct boss. Pero, kasundo mo yung mga colleagues mo. In my case, that was the condition for me. The environment that I was in, the very last one before I decided to be coach and leave corporate altogether. Sa sobrang bilis na nagbabago ng higher up ko, hindi ko na alam kung ano yung deliverables ko.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I held on for a bit because the people I was working with in the day-to-day, we all got close. But then now, looking back, kaya pala kami naging close kasi nalagay kami sa toxic
Mhm.
situation. So, parang nagkaroon ng codependency yung relationship namin because it was all from, this is a terrible place, let's band together. So,
Kampi-kampi na lang tayo.
yes, transactional, only when I was able to look back, transactional pala yung closeness namin. Kasi feeling namin lahat inaapi kami. And that is a common thing that happens in the corporate scenario. When you don't feel safe, when you don't feel that your bosses are leaders, when you just feel that they're bosses but they're not leaders, so maghahanap kayo yung mga nagkakampi-kampihan sa may water dispenser o sa gawaan ng kape. Diba? Doon kayo nagkukwentuhan, ganyan. And that's a toxic environment. And when you're within a toxic environment, eventually you will become toxic. And I guess the answer to Dr. Flor's question is, yun, siguro because I was a transitional eh. I was
Mm-mm.
in a certain point in my life where hindi ko na kailangan lunukin lahat dahil okay na yung mga anak ko. Then I became more introspective. Gusto ko ba to? I'm making so much but I'm so unhappy.
Well, I can resonate with that kasi yung natapos yung mga bayarin namin, parang walang pressure eh. Kasi yung
Yeah.
mga loans, 'di ba? Or yung mga
Yeah.
mortgage, 'di ba?
Doon ka nakatali eh. Yeah.
Oh, si Benj, oh, how do you feel about that?
I've been observing ano ko mapag-observe ako ng patterns eh. Yeah, I also belonged in a company wherein there are reasons why they stay. And I guess that they found peers. I know many of them are coming from say not really well-off families or families that didn't have good starts, o yung iba parang I think they grew up from families with OFW parents or parents who both of whom are working. So the exposure to parents and family is limited to like 6 o'clock in the evening onward. And after school, so nung una school ang kanilang iniikutang mundo, and then after college, they found the company. Uh, mga ano eh, I work for a 90% or so, 95% all millennial company. And they work together, and yes, sometimes it's not the boss eh. It's the clients. So when they find the client toxic or the project toxic, then they band together. And they look for things that will go beyond transactional. Like, syempre, yung things in common, shoulders to cry on. So if there is a company with kind enough people with shoulders to cry on, and people with common ground to share, ayan, that's when they stay. And one of the other things also is the security of knowledge. They certainly would not consider staying if they're not learning anything. But from what I've heard, even up to present day, dahil nakakausap ko yung ilan sa kanila, um, they like to stay. I saw them in a virtual outing and I greeted them. I extend my greetings. Hi, I wish everyone well. Sana safe kayo. And 5 years on, so may mga ni-recruit ako 5 years on, they're still with the company. And dati-rati, nung, when I was actively their HR, target ko lang yan. Sinusukat ko yung longevity. Parang guhit sa pader, nakakailang years na siya. Pag nakatatlong straight years, o sige, bigyan na natin ng more than 13 days sick leave and vacation leave. And yeah, another thing is when the company has their back. So they appreciate so much yung kapag merong medical, yung mga HMO. So when their worries are relieved, they will stay. So yeah, it's nice to hear na tapos yung binanggit mo, Miss Leah, about when the kids have grown, there is no more pressure. So may binanggit din si Chris na when the bayarin are settled, there is no more pressure. So and then we begin to reevaluate our relationships with the organizations we're in. Should I stay or should I go? Like kasi pag maybe we start with we stay because we are offered stability, and now that we have achieved some level of stability, am I still is my heart still being filled? Is it still worth staying, or miss the opportunity that diving into a new venture offers? So parang opportunity cost.
Kung
Pag hindi
masaya
ka
ka pa.
lumundag, baka mawala pa. So ayun, So that, and then I begin to look at, kaya merong dahilan ang ibang tao. Like what Dr. Flor said, it's really about the person eh. And hindi nakakita sila ng opportunity, parang wala na yata silang uh, uh, anything that would bind them, I guess, with the company. So it's time to take care of oneself.
So ito yung practical side. We'll ask Leia. Okay, so how did you prepare for the transition? Meron ka bang mga ginawa para to prepare for this? Of course, this is like pursuing your dream, and then there are some mga realities. So what did you do, Leia?
One of the things okay, syempre meron na akong nakatabi. You know, I met that mark, something about, what is it, 6 months of your salary, or is it 2 years? I forget that number. Whatever that's supposed to be, naitabi ko na yon. But kasi naitabi ko yon because I was preparing for my mother being sick for a long time. But then, you know, she passed, and so I had enough kitty, and then, because again, I was a single mom, even when I was doing the 9 to 5, every once in a while I would do racket, you know, marketing racket, writing rackets, ganyan. So the first thing I did was to open to the universe, you know, to people that I'd known, that I was open to this again. Number one, I opened myself to the possibility of per project. One. Two, I made a detailed list of all my expenses. And then I said, okay, ano yung pinaka need? Wag na muna want. And then yung kikita ka lang. Kikita ka lang to pay the basic bills. And then a little wiggle room. But my internal goal was, para hindi ako maawa sa sarili ko, ang internal goal ko was, abutin mo sa bago mong ginagawa ngayon kung ano yung kinikita mo dati at the height of what you were earning. So that was my, you know, I had a goal. I didn't meet it right away, but the interesting thing about that was, I began to realize what was important and what was kaya mo lang kasing bilhin, so bibilin mo, tapos hindi naman pala siya. So ang laking bagay nung you scale down to realize what's important to you. And then eventually, because I had that, and then I had that goal, na I wasn't pressuring myself naman. But yun dun tayo pupunta. Yun. And then at some point, naabot ko na siya. So, nung naabot ko siya, nagbago na ako ng goal. Ang goal ko naman ngayon is to learn more. To learn new things pa. You know, like I want to learn, trauma, dealing with trauma in the workplace. I want to learn more about that. I want to learn about tapping, emotional freedom tapping. Yeah, so yun, parang yun naman yung next goal.
Parang continuous learning as a
yes,
coach.
Yan, kasi nakakabata yun eh, di ba, Dr. Flor? Nakakabata ang constant learning is. I'm such a believer that when you stop learning is when you start getting old. Otherwise, it's just a number. Wow.
So that's the secret to looking young, okay? Be a lifelong learner. Yun yung sinasabi nila. So anyway, I have to, so there are some people here kasi, you know, every time we have an episode about shifting and then about psychology related topics, they always ask us, okay, ito na nga, so people have been dealing with toxic personalities. Okay, so what is because a different set of people naman kayo. What is a toxic personality? Okay. And okay, how will you know that you're becoming one? So we'll start with beauty first, okay? Bench.
What a toxic person.
Beauty before age. Okay, so Benj, we'll start with you. So what's a
Okay.
toxic personality and how, so do you safeguard yourself from becoming one? O paano, nahahawa? Kasi you're dealing with a lot of toxicity, toxic people. Paano kung ikaw na yung nagiging toxic?
Oh yeah. I guess it can happen even to the best of us. Parang it's right there. And a toxic person for me, unang-una, is somebody who is loud and nowadays with the power of social media, ang tingin ko kasi sa social media, it's like arms or it's like a gun that is so unwieldy. Pag binigay mo sa isang bata, eh hindi kaya ng strength ng bata kung saan nagsushoot yung bala. So so far wala pa naman akong nakikilalang toxic person from the organizations I worked with. So thank God na they are all helpful people, supportive people, who really have growth in mind, themselves and that of their organization and that of their co-workers. Yung boss ko, yung colleagues ko ngayon in the university, they're very supportive. Now, I encountered toxic people elsewhere. Merong mga loud people na the reason kung bakit sila pumapasok sa isang assembly or gathering, it's because merong nagsusundot ng kanyang vested interests. And dadaanin niya sa dalas ng salita at sa taas ng boses. And if it doesn't work, some of them would use intimidation or gaslighting. Yung hihiyain ka na if you don't join my bandwagon, oh wala ka. So how do I deal with such? Unang-una, the realization na bago naman siya, nabubuhay naman ako ng by myself. So wala siyang this toxic guy does not know my baseline. This toxic guy does not know how I define what it is to live a good life. I've been trained from long ago. I've grown from Catholic schools kasi na syempre they would say you focus on God, you focus on what you're doing, whatever everybody else says or whatever popular belief or popular sentiment says, these will come to pass. Popular sentiment naturally there will be people who will be so toxic as to get you to join their bandwagon. And then one of the reminders I tell myself is, and I tell this to my students also, kasi since mapagtanong sila, sir, what if we encounter this in the workplace? Yung mga kakalabit sa'yo, hindi ka tatantanan, tapos yung iba sisindakin ka pa o kaya pahihiyain ka. And here's what I tell them. They need you more than you need them, and their insecurity shows. So and the toxic people they leave. Eventually they'll come to realize hindi kanila kaya. Ayun. And now yung what if I'm slowly becoming the toxic person that I should not become? Mahirap to eh. This is easier said than done. And one is, don't deny don't tell yourself it can't happen to you. It can happen to the best of us. Kahit anong pang MBA o PhD meron ka or doctor, attorney ka, it can happen eh. I have witnessed this on certain people na they become the things they hate. Sabi ko, maganda track record nito. Pero ayun, they succumbed and then they have to reawaken uli. So that's something we hope and pray for. Somebody, maybe a good friend of theirs would approach them and tell them, pare medyo naliliko ka na ng lalas. Ayun.
Well,
Chris,
mhm.
Chris,
Yes,
yeah. I would like to build on what Bench was saying.
sure.
And I want to come from my personal experience. First of all, my definition of a toxic person is anyone whose behavior adds negativity
Mm,
to your life or to the to the surroundings, to yung may mga tao na pag alam mo masaya kayo pagpasok ng kwarto, yung energies niya, you can feel that, 'di ba? Ang cambio nun, meron naman tao na pagpasok niya para siyang nagdala ng sunshine, 'di ba? So a toxic person is the one who brings the bigat in
uh,
the room.
parang
And
may dark cloud siyang
oo,
kasama.
oo. And usually that's someone who's dealing with stresses and traumas. That's someone who is dealing and is probably unaware na marami siyang needs that aren't being met. And I want to share something that actually happened to me. So I got okay. When I was VP for marketing, I had a lean, mean team. And
Mm,
remember that around the time, my kids were already leading their own lives. So for me, being VP for marketing meant deliver, 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 deliver.
mm,
Okay. And because ako, okay na yung oras ko eh. And I lived very close to where I worked. So I would overextend myself and I expected my lean and mean team to want the same
mm.
things. So there were those who went to in that flow with me, and there were others um
Can't
who
cope with you.
did not want to and found it so unfair. Cut to many many years after, I bumped into one of my parang yung isa sa mga favorites ko dun sa team na yon. Because that time I was working with Mommy Mundo and I was content head. So we were working empowerment of young moms, mom entrepreneurs, ganyan, and I was there. And she saw me and she was like, "Oh my God, Miss Leah, this is like a total turnaround for you. I never thought you would get here." I was like, "Huh? What does that mean?" And then so she said, "Do you remember when you used to like overwork us, ganyan." So parang, and by the time I had already studied strength and
Mm,
your blind spots, tapos na-realize ko na, all those times pala I was complaining about, "Ano ba naman tong mga taong to, they don't go for excellence, mediocre work." And my blind spot was, Lea, may mga pamilya tong mga taong to. Siguro naman pag 8:00, pwede nang umuwi. And I was totally blind to that. I was totally blind that I was becoming toxic to the people in my team because I was making so much expectations that
mm.
were not fair. Pero ang nakikita ko lang, ako, I work so hard and then ano ba naman tong mga taong to. I used to say, pag ng 6 o'clock, para silang mga kabayo, para silang mga bullets out of a gun. When in truth, yeah, that is what you're supposed to do.
So ito, I'll ask Dr. Flor. So Dr. Flor, okay, she helps, okay, these people, okay. But ikaw, Dr. Flor, how do you protect yourself from, getting overwhelmed by all these negative energies?
In my practice, I meet a lot of toxic people. And so I need to distinguish that they are the one who has these different characteristics. And so therefore, I need to also isolate myself. So that's the reason why maybe during the time that we will have discussions, I allow them to talk, 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 talk. And
Mm,
so that's how I deal with them because they have some kind of different behaviors or different manifestations that they would like to also have some kind of alleviation or a kind of things that they need to also show to me. And my job as a psychologist is for me to be able to listen and also be able to diagnose properly. So that's what I do in my profession, as psychologist.
Okay, so
Dr. Flor allows them to release.
oo.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. That's correct. Psychological air is one of the release, and that is talk therapy.
Ayun. So, Doc Floor, so we'll go na. So, HR people are always listening to problems. So, itong
Mm.
mga common complaints ng members natin dito sa HR Shouts, okay? They feel drained. Pagdating ng 5 o'clock, parang drained na sila. And sabi nila, kaya daw sila mataba kasi after mga bandang 5, 6, drained na sila. They feel so hungry. Okay, so they will just eat. So, how do you protect yourself from getting this feeling of being drained?
Probably eating a lot during the time that they have these particular feelings of exhaustion. Maybe they should do it.
Para ma-release
Because
niya, kain na lang, di ba?
yeah, oo. This is something that probably will help them in their own particular area. So I would suggest that they do it. It's just that probably in the future they think about these things and slow down when it comes to eating a lot. So it's just a matter of doing it. If it helps them, go
If
for
it
it.
helps
Kasi
them.
nakikita nyo sa mga comments nila, di ba? Kaya daw sila mataba kasi super stressed na sila. Okay, so there you see that's the most common when they vent out in social media.
I'm venting out.
Kasi yung parang yung SOCMED, yung FB is actually an extension. Parang ginawa na nilang extension. But ikaw Leah, do you think it's really healthy to vent out on social media?
Okay. For me, ang social media, when you vent, why do you vent? If you are venting to make yourself feel good, then maybe you could think because we all need to see that social media has a lot of responsibility to it. Hindi lang yung magagalit ako, lalabas ko. Kasi maraming makakita, maraming makakaramdam. Maaring sa atin, maaring sa atin, I hate this traffic or I hate this government, and you're just venting. I'm sure you have the right to do that. But nasan yung accountability for people who might see that and feel, mabigatan sila? Am I saying censor? I'm not saying censor. I'm saying be kind. I mean, all around, be kind when you share on social. Be kind about what you're sharing. Because there's a whole net. Now, ang cambio naman nun, and this is for me very important, self-care. Ikaw naman, you are scrolling. If we can Marie Kondo our house, we can Marie Kondo our social platform. Pwede niyong i-hide yung mga account ng mga tao na nabibigatan kayo.
Unfollow.
Well, kasi unfollow, they'll know eh. They'll know eh. If you hide, you don't unfollow them but you don't see their posts anymore.
So
kasi malay natin, di ba, baka relative. So you can, but yeah, curating your social media is very, very important. Okay, for example, ako, I stay on social media because I have to, because marketing is still part of what I do. Pero I curate my Instagram. I
Mhm.
curate my Instagram into the topics are all self-help, well-being, positive stuff. Yung Facebook kasi, that's where everyone is. So doon, that's where I announce things that I want people I know to know that I do. But my Instagram is my happy place. There's not anything there that I don't like. So very clear for me.
Kami kasi, what we do kasi, the stuff that, yung the venting and etc., we keep it in the family. We have like a family
That,
Viber.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
that's where we vent out, okay? Lahat ng kasi wala, yun safe place yun sa
Yes,
amin.
yes, yes, yeah.
Oo, tsaka kilala na kami ng pamilya, syempre, kasi family nga. So, bahala ka doon, mag-vent ka, whatever, walang papansin sa'yo.
Oh,
Or
kasi safe,
magko-comment,
safe.
or
Yeah, okay lang. Mag-comment siya. Family naman siya. So,
Oo.
yeah,
O,
yeah.
mag-debate kayo, di ba? Okay lang.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
mag-inflame kayo ng isa't isa. Okay lang yun.
Okay lang. Kasi pagdating ng Christmas, mag-Merry Christmas din naman kayo lahat. But
Oh,
yeah, that's one way.
yeah, that's what we do. And then on my Facebook accounts or whatever, occasional lang. But I have a formula kasi I criticize, then I offer a solution.
Right.
Kasi na tayo eh. Well, of course, we're a coach, so we should be more responsible. So that's my
Mm.
formula. Kasi para hindi tayo yung open-ended. Parang,
Negative lang, tas yun na. I
oh,
agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're right. If there are things that you feel very passionately about and that you feel should be better, then yes, please, I want to know. But don't just vent. Offer a solution.
oh.
Kasi if it's just vent, nagnega ka lang, nagsabog ka lang ng negativity, sa'yo na lang, di ba? Pero yan ganyan, you feel very strongly about something, you feel something's not going right. Okay, and then offer solutions, and then if it creates a healthy discussion, then it's great.
Ikaw, Bench, okay. Do you monitor your students' Facebook accounts?
Ah, no.
No.
I'd rather not. Pero meron ako mga kilalang students, I would classify them as the meme lords. Yung mga mahilig mag-share ng memes, but because I think one, para just a little self-care for their professor who sees all of this. Pag hindi sila nagka-class, more so kapag nagka-class, and then they share all these memes, na lang, just veer away and then just accept them na ganito ang generation ngayon eh. That, a lot of their lives revolve around memes. Maybe it's because they find affirmation in it. And there is there is something like an immediate gratification that comes with either creating the memes o kaya sharing them. And it's just that maybe it's a generational thing. Dinatnan nila yan eh. As for me, to protect myself na, oy, bench, professor ka, magtuturo ka pa, may trabaho ka pa, kinabukasan and everyday thereafter, stop scrolling. Let it go. Patay mo yan. Magtali ka na ng sapatos at tumakbo ka na. So parang it's like distancing. If it's not healthy, parang, hey, how long have you been scrolling? Nakailang swipes ka na? Okay, tama na yan. Hindi na nakakatulong yan. Tapos whatever it is that you see, that you observe around you, and then the thing that toxic people and the toxicity that people bring, and you could become it, and you should not deny it that you could become it. But in order to cope, even God took a walk. Even God distanced himself from all the busyness and the noise. Umakyat ng bundok, nagsolo, nanalangin, reflection, or simply just be away from the noise. Madalas naman sinasabi yan, and I think it's safe to say this is consistent from all the persons of authority that I've heard. remove the noise, then you hear your core, you hear yourself. You're not going to hear voices or a tornado of voices inside your head, but that one voice that would say na, without all this noise, this is really you. This is you at the core. When you are not at your job, when you're not reading your students' memes, this is really you. And then it can only be discovered when you log out, and it's not ano it's not unmanly. So may marami, and siguro I think may marami makaka-relate dito, especially with guys. Ikaw naman kasi hindi mo matake eh. So there is that panghihiya na you're not strong enough. Pero actually, real power is distance yourself, take a walk. That one decision alone can make a big difference.
Yeah. I'll share with you something, okay? Hello, there was this discussion with
Sige.
13, okay? It just so happened, ako, talagang nagustuhan ko siya, even the Filipino dub. So, I actually declared it in that forum. Grabe, binasha ko. Sabi, sigurado
Pero
ka ba?
talagang outspoken.
Oo, may outspoken talaga. I said, actually, I kind of liked it. Kasi, when
I like it too.
Yeah,
Parang
I liked it too.
So,
so,
yun.
I
kasi
was
ako,
pretty proud. I was pretty proud, di ba? Parang layo ng inabot natin. So we're on Netflix. Wow.
well, actually, we're particular with, ano kasi, the voiceover talent, okay? But for me, kasi I was even surprised she could act, okay? I mean, really. Kasi I've seen her act. Parang ano lang superficial lang. But this one, she was capable of yung mga, may range siya actually. So that's what I said. Tapos sabi, Mang, sigurado ka sa sinasabi mo. Parang ganon. So, and I said, kasi I'm an optimistic person and I like to give people chances.
Yeah.
Oo. So parang yan lang sinabi ko. Binash pa rin ako. Ay nako. Sabi ko, burahin ko na to. Parang ganun. Pero kasi grabe sila, no? Parang there are people talaga who are parang yung mga keyboard warriors, okay? They're very outspoken. Pagka ganun na kasi, parang it's not worth my time. Hindi tayo kikita dyan.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
Hindi tayo kikita, hindi tayo mabubusog, hindi tatalino.
parang, I just wanted to say that I was proud of it. And then for the first time, it was a good production.
Yeah, agree.
Oo. Kasi
Agree.
we have to be we have to see kasi we have to be proud of being an artist also. I want to be proud of yung sariling atin. Yun lang yung gusto kong doon. So there are some people that say, "Oy, hindi ka na," kasi dati I was a mean person, especially in the morning if I haven't gotten my coffee. Okay, but when you are when you you get away from a toxic environment, okay, parang you're able to breathe na, then you start mellowing down. So people change kasi so people that you've met 5 years ago, they may not be the same people when you meet them now. Kaya ako naniniwala din ako sa second chances. So, yun lang yung mga paniniwala ko. Kaya nabash talaga ako. Tapos tawa pa ako ng tawa. Nabash ako. Ano, mga 35 people, may mga laugh out loud na mga emoticon sa akin. So, but anyway, I think being able to laugh at oneself, okay, I think that's healthy. So,
Yeah.
itawa mo na lang.
Yes, that's one of the I think when we start taking ourselves too seriously, that's when we're in trouble. For me, isa yan sa mga checks ko. Like, when do I know that I'm going into toxicity? If I'm taking myself too seriously and I can't even make light of a difficult situation, then that's a sign for me. Parang, uy, step back. Because I tell myself, ay, talaga, sobrang important tayo. Hindi natin to kayang tawanan. We need to be able to level ourselves. Ganyan, diba? Nabash ako, diba? Na hindi yung siseryosohin mo, dadamdamin mo.
Kimpimin mo.
Kimpimin mo. Yun. That's one of the signs of like shifting yourself from or or seeing that you're already getting into toxicity and then being able to shift back. Humor is a huge thing.
Yeah, actually, si Dr. Flor, actually, si Dr. Flor is she's actually one of the veteran HR consultants, okay? So, I like Dr. Flor kasi yan, tatawa-tawa lang yan. But there are some personalities, they carry kasi yung title nila, yung kanilang, when they are on social media. And then, pagka magsalita sila, there's sarcasm and then parang yung kasi ma-jargon tong natin, field natin eh.
Yeah, yeah.
So, pag hindi mo alam, parang ay hindi mo alam 'yan kasi ganito 'yan,
Mm-mm,
parang gano'n.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
So, actually yan yung nawala sa akin from corporate to freelance kasi in the corporate world 'di ba may structure kayo tapos yun nga you're on the you identify yourself based on your title, then your calling card, and then your ID. Okay, and your uniform maybe. So, yun. So that's one of the things na I started to relax also when that's why when I reach out and when I comment on social media, pag nababash ako, hindi nala, parang tumatawa lang ako. In fact, sinasabi ko pa, well, yeah, nakakatawa nga yung sinabi ko. Yun.
Oh wait, Chris,
Oh, nakapinash ka.
I want to comment on because nag-resonate sa akin ng sobra yung comment mo na jargon.
Oo.
I feel very passionately about this because yes, I agree with you. Pagdating sa I'm not going to say I'm just going to say in the well-being community, so cover that psychologists, cover that coaches, counselors. One of the things that trigger me is when we do jargon.
Mm.
Because I feel when you do jargon, what are you saying? Galing-galing ko. Tapos, paano yung mga kailangang makaintindi sa'yo kung hindi ka nila naiintindihan? Are you fulfilling what you're supposed to be fulfilling?
Are you being understood?
Yeah, so when you're not being understood, are you effective? Is my point. When you're using jargon, what are you trying to say? Is it for you? Or is it for the people who need to understand you? So for me, that's a huge reminder because I've been there where I'm like, ano daw? And I'm in the community and I don't know what the heck they're saying.
Kasi, there are like several acronyms, okay? And then, they can mean different things. So, ako, nagtatanong talaga ako, anong ibig mong sabihin?
Yeah. Oo. And tayo ba naman mga Pilipino, ang hilig natin sa acronym. Tapos, bawat kumpanya may kanya-kanya. You know?
Well, one of the reasons I became HR kasi may tayo doon, may HR friend tayo doon dati. Mahilig mag-jargon. Tapos ako naman, anong ibig sabihin niyan? Tapos hindi mo alam yan? Well, hindi ko po talaga alam.
Kasi, hello, kung alam ko, hindi sana kita tinanong. Diba? Parang,
kasi parang when you tell me something, parang kasi may dictionary naman, pero hindi mo kasi mahahanap sa dictionary yun. So, talagang tatanungin ko. Tsaka makulit akong tao. Ito si Dr. Flor. Ikaw, how do you, Dr. Flor, well, number one is how do you maintain that gracious demeanor pagka meron kang, troll?
So, I would rather go into my own particular thing rather than have an attack or something that is negative. So, if for example, I cannot understand, then I will ask. And
Yes.
if for example, there are things that I need to also discuss with the person, I have to ask. So it's a white and black kind of thing.
Lalo na ngayon, yung mga COVID health advisories, ang daming acronym. Ano kaya ibig sabihin nito?
I want to share one of the things that really struck me. The one person I really look up to is Dr. Brené Brown. And the quote, one of her many, many quotes that I really resonated with is, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. When we do jargons and when we assume that the people we are around understand. That's not clear. So it's not kind. So for me, it's always I go back to that. Is this kind?
Kasi you
So
want to educate and inform para
yes,
versus, 'di ba, and not
yeah,
parang hindi sila magkamali, 'di ba? So
oo,
that's one.
oo. Para maintindihan, kaya naman tayo nandun, 'di ba?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And,
Bench, you were about to say something?
I like that. To be clear is kind. Ako naman, ang take ko with my students is, especially kapag meron mga mabigat na subject matter, I tell them, now you know. So, if knowledge is power, then I have already shared the power. If I don't share the power, ibig sabihin insecure ako. So, syempre in college, they're there to study, to prepare to be professionals. And then often I tell them na you have to see the bigger picture, you have to learn to relate things, na that your discipline is somewhat related to the other guy's discipline naman. So see how things connect. And then you're going to encounter things like legal terms, um, and other business terms. And they would say sometimes, ano po kaya po ako nag-IT because iniiwasan ko yung ganong terms eh. And this is how the legal terms work in the IT context. So now you know, I hope you'd find it useful. So it's like giving them a tool that they could use themselves and teaching them how to use it. To keep it to oneself is like insecurity. So I do that because I have high hopes for them. In my HR years, matagal na ako nakakakita ng mga nag-a-apply sa company with all the bells and whistles na they're going to be great IT professionals, they're going to be great software developers, papasiklaban ka ng kanilang software developing skills, but it's the character that counts eh. Being able to see your place in the bigger picture, that also matters, and how you what they do, how it affects you, and what you do, how it affects them. So yun, I like that. To be clear is kind, and if I may add my own, uh, if knowledge is power, share the power.
Yeah, share the
Yun.
power. Okay, and then also,
Parang He-Man, I have the power.
uy, meron na siyang si ano
Meron
panibagong
daw sa
ano.
Netflix.
Oo. Okay. So anyway, going back to our topic, mapunta na
Oo.
tayo kay Himan. Okay.
Oo nga kung saan na napupunta.
Yeah. But actually here, okay, so to everyone, so we're all in the business, or we're all in the at work, sharing, of course, love, information, etc. But personally, okay, so this pandemic was like challenging for all of us, okay, because we didn't expect it. Was there a time during this season that you felt like giving up? So, and how did you manage through this rough time? So, Leia, did you ever feel that things were going to be to spiral down? And if ever, how did you motivate yourself to continue with your work?
Yeah, sure. During this time, was there a time that I felt like giving up? Madami. Maraming beses. I would ask myself, is this really what you're supposed to be doing? Aren't you supposed to, at this stage in your life, aren't you supposed to go for the comfortable? Aren't you supposed to go for, maybe you should already fix your LinkedIn and go back to marketing. It's what you know. You don't have to learn new things. I went through all of that. And I would because of all the uncertainty, 'di ba? Parang should I be putting myself in this comfort zone as opposed to putting myself, out there. Um, and then what I would do is very emotionally charged. There was an emotionally charged moment for me when I was in a mall, and and it's one of those upscale malls, and I don't know why I was retail therapying.
Mm.
Okay, I was unhappy with work, I was unhappy with my life, and I was doing retail therapy. And I, for some reason, while I was walking there, I was thinking, this is very weird because, as a single mom, I spent most of my life thinking I didn't deserve the good stuff. And I remember walking those exact halls and thinking, ay, sana, ay, ganyan. I was walking that same hall, and and what occurred to me was, I'm now in a position where I can get any of these things, and I don't want them. And I realized I'm not happy. I wasn't happy. I could buy them now after all those years of just wishing, and I was at my unhappiest. So when I'm put in a place where I'm coming from kasi ganun naman yun eh.
Mm.
You want to give up kasi you're coming from scarcity.
Mm.
You're thinking, I should have more. I don't have enough. This is not enough. I need more. Laging ganon. When I find myself in scarcity, I go back to, you want to be in that place again where you can walk the hall, buy anything you want, and be so unhappy and so toxic? And the answer is always no. And so how do I go back to my why? I shift to finding things to be grateful for, because there's always something to be grateful for. It's just a matter of really shifting. It's really just a matter of telling ourselves, what is your why? And once you remember what your why is, then find at least three things to be grateful for every day. Kasi ano yung kabaliktaran ng grateful? Ang kabaliktaran ng grateful is when you feel entitled. Dapat meron ako nito. Dapat eto ako. So pag nandun tayo sa dapat, nagsistay tayo sa toxic. Doon nanggagaling yung feelings of toxicity. Kasi pag kulang, feeling mo kulang, edi feeling mo victim. When we stay in the victim mentality, yan na. Oo, ano man ako.
Tsaka
As
yung
opposed
language
to,
mo, di ba? Like,
the language is so, because the words that we tell ourselves are the most important. So when we tell ourselves, uy, ito nga pala yung gusto kong gawin. Ito nga pala yung pag nanalo ko ng loto, ito pa rin yung gagawin ko. So, di ba, it's such a blessing to be able to do this, to be able to help people in this time. So,
tsaka actually, ano eh, there are like some days kasi parang you learn from your ano din eh, from your coaches eh. Parang
yes.
'di ba? They offer some fresh perspective.
Oh,
Magulat ka na lang, uy, bago
oo.
'yun.
Oo, minsan nga yung lalo na yung mga really really difficult situations, and then they get to a place where they, where they have reframed their stories. And now they're looking at themselves in the world in a totally different light. It's so inspiring. There's sometimes there's a part of me that's like, Nia, ako nagbabayad ako kasi actually na-inspire din niya ako eh. So, di ba, if you're gonna ask me, is coaching a stressful job? No, not for me. It's not a stressful job because when I'm there to guide people to reframe their stories, when they say, oh nga, no, and wala naman akong magic na ginagawa eh, they do it. I just hold their hand. That's what coaching is.
Yeah, we
I just
don't
hold
tell them the answer. We have to just
No,
guide
I
them.
don't say this is what you do. No, I don't do that. It's just guiding. And when I experience that in the work that I do, then it's not work. So
Okay, so ito. So actually our time is actually flying, okay? We can talk about this all day. But ito na lang. This is the $1 million question of the day. Is there such a thing as a less stressful job or a job that's not stressful? So,
Can I answer?
yes, yes.
Okay. For me, there is no such thing as a stressful job or a less stressful job. There is only what you love to do. And my father told me many, many years ago, you find what you love to do, it will never be work. And if it's not work, then it's not stressful.
Oh. How about ito, si Bench, okay, teaching, okay. Have you ever been stressed?
Oh yes,
Teaching.
I'm stressed. In our university, a lot of us really are very busy. Especially now, busier adjusting to many things. This is the current normal. New normal is current normal now. I'm being asked to plan for workshops to share the knowledge about how we can best deliver our lessons effectively in online media. So it adds up to the stress, the pressures of expectations, especially since may feedback ang mga students, may feedback din ang mga parents. I've been in one orientation, meron talaga mga outspoken parents that they want value for money and this is how they define it. But we do what we can. So as long as you do what you can in the time that you are provided, then don't feel, I just tell myself, don't feel inadequate. Sometimes I feel inadequate, okay? But just don't be. So yun, is there any less stressful job than this? Or is there any less stressful job than the one I had before? Wala. So consistently, wala. It's just that at any point in time, they will have their stresses. At any point in time, medyo you cut loose. What's important is you do the what matters and what counts in the time that is given, and then you'll feel fulfilled. You pat yourself on the back later.
So how about Doc Floor? Okay, so do you ever get stressed?
Uh, I have some instances that I feel some kind of stress, but then again I have to do something about it. So I usually respond, and I usually handle it very well. So whenever I am having some kind of problems or stress, I need to answer, I need to respond to it, and I need to work hard so that it will not appear again.
Si
That's how
Dr.
it.
Floor cooks. Ano ba ang mga favorite na niluluto mo?
Mga favorite niluluto ba?
Oo,
Or
niluluto. Mga dishes na niluluto mo. Kasi you
yeah,
mentioned before that you cook.
yes, I love to cook. I'm a Bicolana. I usually cook with gata,
Mm.
so uh, anything that has something to do with gata. So
Oo.
I usually use that, and I also use mga ano, well, yung tinatawag ng mga
Oo.
sili, mga
Yun,
Oh,
spicy.
parang ginugutom na tayo
spicy.
niyan, ah.
Mm.
Gutom na
Oo nga.
tayo.
Pantanggal ng stress.
Pangtanggal ng stress.
Saka ng
Actually,
toxicity.
ako kasi when I get stressed, I only remember one thing, this chapter in my life when I was trying to transition from being a creative professional to HR. Kasi yung time na yon, that was really, that was really a toxic time kasi pagka nag apply ka, titingnan ka pa. Oh, talaga? Parang gano'n. So, whenever I just try to recall that and then I just say that it's in the past, na overcome ko na 'yon and maybe anything else would be easier. Kasi 'yun talaga yung ano, eh, yung ano, make or break ng point ng career ko. When people were doubting me and then pagka magbibigay ka ng resume mo, titingnan ka ng parang, kaya-kaya ng taong ito yung trabaho na 'to. Kasi creative siya dati. And then ngayon, she's claiming to know all these HR terms, di ba? So, whenever I just recall that, and then since I'm past that already, it's been years na. So, I think it's easier for me if it's just stress with work, okay? So, and then we just have to see life as an adventure. Kundi, ano tayo, tatanda
Yeah.
talaga tayo. O, idol ko si Doc Flor, oh, tinan mo.
Pag
Luluto yan siya.
feature ko si
Really?
Doc Flor sa seminar nung ano, nung sa business coach. Sabi ko,
Oo
she
nga.
really
Oo.
training needs
Ah,
analysis
Oh, I
and
see.
her student.
oo.
Okay.
Oo. Thank you. Thank you, Benj, for
Welcome,
that.
Doc.
Okay. So anyway, okay. So it's actually ano na June, okay, in a few more weeks, okay, it's going to be July and before you know it's going to be Burna. Okay, so Leia, okay, one final advice for our viewers. Okay, so how if you were in a very toxic job, okay, how will you self-care?
Okay. If I was in a very toxic situation, one of the quickest ways to detoxify yourself is to just dance. I always say this: if you don't have time for counseling or therapy or coaching, alam mo, pick your best song, dance in your room, dance in the bathroom, dance like no one is watching. I promise you, your energies will raise. And if after you dance to your favorite song, you are still toxic and unhappy, you can reach me at Heartworks Healing in Instagram and say you're lying. That's how sure I am that that is one of really the clearest way to shift your negative energies. That's one. And second is to learn to speak to yourself like someone that you love. For me, when I give my self-care talks, I always say, kung sa dinami-dami ng tools na sinabi ko, meron kayong ma-take away, it's please learn to start talking to yourself like someone you love. That's one. And also, learn the power of the pause. So when you feel toxic, when you feel sad, practice self-compassion. Just simply putting your hand to your heart and taking a few slow, deep breaths can really change your action to being a response. So it's the little things, and it's the intention to be grateful, to find something to be grateful for in the everyday. Yeah, that's the
So
self care.
so be kind to people, be kind to
Be kind to
yourself.
yourself, practice the pause, self compassion, hand to heart, slow, deep breaths, learn to be thankful, see the stuff that there is, and there always are, in fact, in the everyday.
Okay, so that's beautiful, Leia. So how about Doc Floor and Bench? Okay, so very quickly. So what is your advice to professionals who are in a toxic environment? How do they self-care? So Doc
Doc
Floor?
ba muna or me?
Yeah, for me, I'd like to always pray hard, and it will be given. And this is something that I've been doing for quite a long time already. That I pray and pray and pray, so that probably many of the toxic things that are happening, probably I will be able to also handle. And that's what I do. So for what Miss Leia said, I agree with her, and I believe that if you dance and dance, it will relieve the toxicity, and probably we will be able to deal with anything that we have. So to me, it's prayer. It's prayer, hard prayer.
Yes, especially now, diba? I mean, if
Yes.
nothing else works, then you can pray. Reach out to the Almighty God. So, how about bench?
Yeah. Same. You pray. Uh, there is a lot of chaos in the world, especially when we are informed about the many things that we can gratify ourselves and feel entitled. So, echoing back yung sabi ni Miss Leia na she was retail therapy ying. And then, at the end of that time, that episode, parang empty pa rin. So, eventually, we come to a point na nakakapagod pala yung ganito. Eh di wag na lang. And then, you come to terms with not really everything is within our control. I think technology, this day and age, uh, maraming binibigay sa ating control and still we're not in control. So, what can we have control of? The decision to turn to the Almighty, pray, and to surrender, and then take stock. Take stock na bench. We've come so far. Now is not the time to be going back to dating gawin because that doesn't work anymore. So what do we do? What am I gifted? And going back to Miss Leia, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. What am I thankful for? Thankful ako na wala pa akong comorbidities. Hindi ako nasa A3.
Mhm.
Nandun ako sa A4. Paano yun? Hindi pa ako nababakunahan. Di maghintay ka. In the meantime, be thankful. You're healthy. If you're healthy of mind and body, there are things that you can still carry out. Maybe just not now. Marami kasi sa atin gusto magmadali and we create our own toxicity, we create our own stress. May mga student ako na ganyan na pag napaprustrate, naghihinagpis. Pero things are still within our control. I think God put them there for a reason, only we don't know it yet. We learn to wait. Don't be so self-gratifying. Relax, wait. Don't react agad, especially sa mga tali sa social media, and you'll feel lighter. The problem will be there. Maybe you'd still encounter toxic people. They'll still be there. There will be work-related stresses, pandemic stresses. Be thankful that you're still in control of you. Yon.
So just try to control. Okay, so the keyword is control. So take back control. Okay, if you think it's social media that's causing you stress, okay, so just probably try to limit your exposure to social
Mm-hmm.
media. Also try, because the challenge now actually is we actually don't know when this is going to be over. So the challenge is actually a mental challenge. Okay, the more that we protect ourselves mentally, maybe the better for us to
Yeah.
survive this very very I well, it's actually challenging for everyone. Okay, so there's no other adjective for it. And actually, I'm grateful for this time as well because this was a time that I discovered I discovered new friends and I was able to reconnect with old friends. Okay, so I saw, that's why Leia, I saw her on social media. And for our HR members here on the community, okay, so don't keep on focusing on the negative. It's easier said than done, but you just remember that the day is just 24 hours. Okay. And then your office work is just 8 hours. Okay. So try to maintain that balance. So thank you guys for joining us. And thank you, Benj, Dr. Flor, and Leia. Okay. Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you,
gracing
Thank
everyone.
you.
our FB Live presentation.
You.
And anyway, guys, for next week, okay, that will be episode 93. And we will be talking about HR professionals as advocates of mental health. So, see you next week. And then for now, maybe it's time for us to ask Dr. Flor for that dish because we're all we're all famished. Okay. So anyway, good evening to everyone and enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy the rest of the evening and happy weekend. Bye bye.
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 Hi.
During the Why don't you upskill in the comforts of your own home? Improve and add more certificates in your resume. Simple, direct, easy. Visit the playlist in our YouTube channel. Browse through our videos and choose the video that interests you. Send in your requests for a particular video and we will send back the certificate via email. Watch this full video for the details.